Hey, welcome to my channel. If you saw the Monza race, it was pretty interesting, put it that way. Um, I will say this. I think we are witnessing, you're in the process of witnessing another case of, not another case of, but more so to the point like what Oscar Piastri and his brilliance of a driver is. And the fact that with McLaren, I think McLaren should lock him up as long as he possibly can. I mean, it makes sense as to why now Ochen really was like pissed off that McLaren stole him away from Alpine at the time, or AKA Renault. But it's to a point where we're seeing how good of a driver he is. It'll be interesting to see how the remaining races play out because there's about 7 more races to go. The fact is with Max up by maybe about 62 points. No, yeah, about 62 to 63 points ahead of Lando. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out exactly. Because honestly, with 7 races to go, I mean, I think Max should be able to win 2 or 3 more races. And I think if wins 2 or 3 more races, I think he's got it sort of locked down in ways. If he finishes in the top 7 in the remaining races, then he should be good. If so long as he wins the first, at least 2 races, and then finishes in the top 7 for that remaining races, then he should be okay. However, I mean, this is F1, and like things can happen where cars can essentially be uh, could crap out, or for whatever reason, or for another reason, he may not be able to finish in a couple of races. For those races that he can't, if he's not able to score any points for at least 3 races, then it should be a close race for the championship. But Piastri right now, we're seeing how good he is. I think the case is like Piastri should have won, of course, Monza. The sad part is it was a little bit of I don't want to say strategical error, but is more so I think the numbers were showing that they were looking at kind of allowed Leclerc to undercut them at that point. So that was interesting how Leclerc won, and congrats to Leclerc and congrats to the Ferrari team actually for it's been a while since they won an Italian Grand Prix. So congrats to them at that point, and that's pretty cool. The other aspect is the constructors cup. Now that's an interesting one though, because if Piastri and Lando are able to finish in the top 5, and if Checo doesn't step up and he's finishing like below 6 or 7, um, Red Bull's got a problem because they're pretty much down by. Let me see how many like they're up by. Like Red Bull's up by 6 points. 6 points. So this is going to be a close constructors cup, and Ferrari's not that far behind as well too. Honestly, because like they're only like uh, 38 points behind or 36 points behind. Actually, no, 39 points behind. Sorry, they're only 39 points behind. So if Ferrari, like, if Sainz and Leclerc can actually somehow play into it as well too, this is going to be a very close constructors cup, which it's been a very long time since we've seen a constructors cup battle this close for this long. Well, quite honestly, I'm not gonna say when's the last time. We can point out to 2021 or 2020 or 2021 because between the Red Bull and Mercedes, but that was only 2 teams. This is 3 teams actually, and this is going to be interesting to see. Now with the next remaining races that are coming up, basically, I mean, Azerbaijan, I could see Red Bull dominating there, and then Singapore as well too. The real question comes down to is in the Grand Prix, the United States in Austin. Now that's where I was telling you about where if Mercedes is able to win in that one, if Mercedes is able to win in that one, then we'll know that Mercedes is back. But if they're not able to win in that one, then I don't think it's a case where we'll see Mercedes getting into the top area for quite a while. Actually, I mean to the point where what's his name, Lewis going over to Ferrari, being replaced by that 18-year-old kid. I forgot his name out. Honestly, it's a little early for me right at this point. But reality is like this is going to be an interesting aspect to see how the remaining season plays out. Not more so for the championship, but more so for the Constructors' Cup because Checo is not living up to his end of the bargain. And I think Red Bull, if they do not win this Constructors' Cup, I think they will have seriously regretted not making an offer to Sainz and keeping, trying to bring Sainz onto the Red Bull team because with Sainz and him and Max, I think they could have, for next year, for next season, they could have, dominated the Constructors' Cup for a bit. But it looks like that's not going to happen. Now, the other question is with the way Leclerc is right now, and with Hamilton coming on board, I think Hamilton, the fact that like he could have had pole position, of course, in Monza. He was off by like less than a second. Sad part is, I think, of course, that's where age comes into play. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays out with Ferrari, how it works out with Ferrari next season. But the real question comes down to is again between Norris and Piastri. McLaren's definitely going to lock Piastri for the long term because they lost out on Lewis when Lewis left. But then again, at that time when Lewis left, McLaren was on the decline. They're on the uptake now, so they need to keep Piastri for as long as they possibly can, and maybe Norris as well too. But honestly, I think Norris can be interchanged with, let's say, a Russell or, for that matter, I forgot his name now. The Thai boy again. I keep forgetting his name. Wilbon. Albon. Albon. Sorry, not Wilbon, but Albon. They could replace him with Albon as well too, because I think those three are interchangeable in that aspect, as well as Leclerc. They could put in Leclerc too, depending on how it goes. But it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Bottas, I hate to say this, but like Bottas, if it's gonna kind of suck for him because like he probably should have gone back to Mercedes. Honestly, I think they should have taken him instead of the young kid from that's 18-year-old. But let's see how that 18-year-old plays out. Um, Outside of that, yeah, I mean, this again, it's an interesting. It's going to be an interesting take for the remaining 8 races. But I would say this: look for Azerbaijan in the Azerbaijan race, and as well as the Singapore race. Look for basically Max to win those 2 races. The Austin one, it'll be interesting to see if Mercedes can win it. Then we'll see what they're back. But I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I have a feeling that one, that's where McLaren's going to thrive on, as well as Mexico. The one in Brazil, that's going to be an interesting one to see between Red Bull and McLaren, because that's going to be interesting how that works out, as well as Ferrari. Ferrari, I have a feeling that with the Las Vegas track, that one should be geared towards, because of there's so many straights, that should be geared towards Ferrari. So Ferrari should have the 1-2 spot in that situation. Qatar is going to be interesting to see. Abu Dhabi, it might come down to Abu Dhabi for the Constructors' Cup, actually. It might come down to that in Abu Dhabi. It'll be interesting to see how that works out in that aspect as well, too. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think? Is this an interesting season now? Do you think Max can still win this? I mean, do you think Max will win this more so to the point of like, or do you think Norris will overtake him, or for that matter, Leclerc for that matter? And the Constructors' Cup, do you think Red Bull can retain this lead and maybe maintain it a little bit more if Checo steps up? Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, please like it or hit the like button. If you don't, you're welcome to hit the dislike button. But I ask that you do subscribe to my channel. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.